Hello, beautiful muses. This is a new reading from CosmoMuse Tarot, and today's topic, I'm going to keep it very simple, very clear, and just bringing forward a message from Spirit, anything it wants to talk about. So I have 4 different cards here and 4 stones, and I've purposely covered up the wording underneath the little mandala in each card, because that's going to really be the main theme of the message. And I want you guys to focus a little bit more either on the stones or the mandala rather than having been influenced by the words if those were to show. Okay, so for those of you that like the breath work, I lead you to help in opening up inspiration and higher wisdom in choosing the right pile. We'll do that now. So place your feet firmly on the ground. Feel that strength and stability under you. Allow that to make you feel safe to be a little bit more fluid and sensitive. Now take a deep breath in and suck the air up, up, up into the space between your brows. Hold it there. Suck in a little bit more to add pressure. And then out loud, release the exhale. Okay, so let's look at these 4 piles. We've got pile 1 with sort of a peach aventurine and kind of an indigo purpley mandala. Pile 2, we have pyrite with a bunch of different greens in the mandala. Pile 4, we have obsidian with sort of a colorful yellow, orange, red, as well as that indigo color. And then pile 4, we have clear crystal quartz with some purples and reds and yellows as well as greens in this one. Okay, if you need more time to feel into your breath and ask which pile is meant for you, you can take as much time as you need, and feel free to do more than one pile if more are calling to you on this one. And timestamps are in the descriptions below, and I'll see you in your readings. Hello, pile 1. If this is you guys, you picked the peach aventurine. I'm just going to put your stone over here for now. Okay, so the theme that Spirit wants to talk to you about is trust. And the card itself says, I accept that my inner voice will always guide me correctly, which is such a beautiful message. And I'm seeing a lot about this, but where I want to start in relation to that message itself is actually with the animal card that came up for you, which was the penguin. And this card says diamond light activation. Light activations and new energies are coming your way. Be open to receive and welcome them in. And then right under this penguin, you have the 10 of Swords, which is where we come into this place of like hitting a wall with our minds and holding sort of a lot of exhaustion and like uncertainty about trusting our minds or holding as much as is being asked for in our minds. So this in tandem has me feeling a lot about why the issue of trust and specifically around your inner voice is guiding you correctly. This has to do with that there are, I think right now your mind is very open. It is very potentially impressionable. And so there's probably a lot of like mental sorting and analyzing you're trying to do to understand the amount of sort of information and downloads that you're receiving. It's like your neural activity is like firing on all cylinders right now. And it's just taking a lot of energy to sort through it all, to know what to trust, to know what's right for you, to know what to do with all of this information, all of these downloads. And Spirit is saying that it's not for your mind to sort this out. You need to just let that information come and mentally sort of hands off, like lighten up about it. It's going to all sink down into your body, and your body is going to help you to integrate, help you to sort through a natural process. And it can't do that job unless you loosen your mind a little and allow things to have some spaciousness, allow questions to just be there, allow it all to just kind of mingle and settle and be somewhat unclear for a minute. I just feel this thing of like breathe. And I think I'm picking that up because these outer colors on the mandala, it's like it's going from that intense indigo into like moving out into the atmosphere where the particles move further and further away and light becomes more pastel and space allows air and breath to be a little bit more spacious. And that's, I think, what's being asked of you. It's like you are open in spaciousness, but then this information downloads and you try to like grasp it and handle it and sort it. And it's like, no, keep that spaciousness. Allow questions to be there. Don't try to use your mind so much on everything that's coming in, even though it's lighting your mind up. Just allow things to not be fully figured out around how to sort all of this and what it all means. Just breathe. And these other cards I'm seeing, joy and music and focus, what I'm feeling from that is like a message coming through about a process that you can tap into in order to help you have some space and to breathe and just let, there be things in your mind and to let pressure go around trying to sort it out. And it's saying like you need to get into flow states. So putting on music, things that allow you to get more into body and to let go and to just be in something. And then something about that of just like coming into an embodiment, coming into just being and flowing and feeling spaciousness suddenly focuses all of these downloads. And you'll have these ahas. It will just come into focus naturally if you can let go of trying to figure it out. Move, like how does that information make your body feel? And what kind of music matches that? What kind of music can you put on that matches how you feel about these downloads and all this information? And how can that just help you drop into the feeling? And something about that just brings everything into focus the way it needs to be. Questions answered, everything sorted, and it doesn't come from the mind. So that's where this trust, I accept that my inner voice will always guide me right. And that's how to get to that inner voice, because your intuition knows what to do with this. Your body, your gut, your inner knowings, it knows what to do with this, and you need to let your mind chill. Okay, so looking at, we've sort of already covered that 10 of Swords, but I want to look at these other cards for a little bit more context. I love seeing the High Priestess here. That's confirmation to me about you have an inner knowing around whatever's being downloaded, whatever information is streaming into your neural pathways and just into your mind and brain. Your intuition, your higher self is going to know what to do with this, not your mind. And that's just this confirmation to trust that there is an inner knowing there. And so you need to let go of intellectualizing anything around this. Something higher within you knows what to do. The Knight of Swords, I feel like, is very connected to this focus. And this is a confirmation from Spirit saying that when those aha comes and when that focus comes, it's not just going to be this like, oh, that's cool to know or that's cool to understand. There's going to be a call to action with these things, and you're going to know what you're supposed to do with them. And it's like, get out of your own way, though. Just like another reminder, like you need to get out of your mind and you need to get out of your own way, because whatever's coming through, I think there are calls to action, and you're just going to need to trust. It's like another layer then of trust coming through, like trust this process I've laid out of how to work with all of these downloads and information coming in. And then secondly, trust these calls to action as real. Trust what those calls to action feel like when you have those ahas, because they're moving, they're whatever's coming in, like Spirit is intending for you to do something with it. But they're going to be like these ahas that you're also going to need to trust in order to accept the call to action. And then we have here the Four of Pentacles and the Ten of Cups. And to me, this is showing what's going to happen if you don't lean into this trust versus if you're working with it well. So kind of showing the balance that will be felt if you are really working with this trust, and the imbalance that will be felt if you're resisting trusting and like really getting into your mind. There will be the imbalance. What that will feel like is like you're trying to hold on to any information and protect it versus wanting to share it. There will be this thing of like hoarding, a sensation of like wanting to hoard something will be showing that you're not trusting in something in this process and about your higher self and your inner voice and your own inner compass and guidance. Yeah, it'll be this like, this thing of like mine and just wanting to like protect it and not do anything with it, but have it and possess it. Versus the Ten of Cups energy, which just like is like an orchestra of life all of a sudden organizes around you, where consciousness is open. There's beautiful connections with people and community. Nature speaks to you. Animals speak to you. Like everything is just flowing. There's just a sense, like the same thing as the music. And that's why, I don't know, I'm just like feeling this direct link here is not only that flow state allowing you to sink this information in, for that inner voice, inner knowing to find the focus. But once you then have those calls to action and trust it and put it out there, that same sensation then comes of like that same feeling of music that helped you to drop into your body and embodiment and fluidity and sensitivity with this, suddenly orchestrates outside of you, and the world outside of you feels this way. Everything's flowing, everything's composing, everything's alive and sensitive and beautiful, and like deep comprehension and upgrades in your life happen. Very, very beautiful reading, you guys. Gorgeous message from Spirit. This is where I'm going to leave you. If this resonated, I always appreciate a thumbs up. Little comments are always fun to peruse. And if you are not subscribed yet, please do so if you want more readings like this. All right, I'll see you guys in future readings. Hello, Pile 2. Welcome to your reading, a message from Spirit. If this is you guys, you picked the Pyrite. We're just going to place that over to the side here. So the topic that Spirit wants to communicate with you about is health, and the specific message under health says, I will honor the physical vessel that enshrines my soul. So it's interesting, the order or how like the cards spoke to me in the first pile. I wasn't sure if that was going to feel different as I went to the next piles, but almost like the same kind of process is coming out and feeling right here. So what I am doing is I'm going to jump over to this animal. I feel like it has sort of context around this health message of health that Spirit wants to talk about. And you guys have polar bear, and it says nurture. Allow any anxieties and worries to be gently released and offered up to be healed. And I like this word nurture. I think that there's something around your physical health that maybe has been on your mind. I mean, who of us doesn't have some aspect of physical health on our mind? We all want some greater well-being in our lives, physically and mentally, but there's something about specifically, maybe very pointedly right now, that you've been thinking about, working on around how to better honor, how to better, for wherever your health is. We all have different different issues, a different spectrum of where we are around our physical vessel. But right now, what's specifically pointed about this, and is there something that you can find a little bit of a softer approach to, a more nourishing and nurturing, more tender approach to. And I feel like there's something about this that approaching this pointed question or issue about physical health that will really benefit you by being a little bit more tender here, a little less wound up, intense, a little less. I'm like feeling the need to say compare, softness and gentleness compared to what? Compared to being wound up, anxious, hyper about something. How can you just drop into a tenderness and just be with this question, be with this concern, be with this desire to honor something about your physical vessel. And I like that, just reading this again, because it's all of a sudden popping out to me as like more poignant suddenly, the word soul. I will honor the physical vessel that enshrines my soul. I think there are things that your soul has to communicate to you right now about your physical health. And in order to get in touch with that and hear it and feel the soul, you need to come from a more tender place. So I think that's a little bit more eloquently put, what I've just said. And then there's a little bit more context coming through here, and hopefully some hopefulness to share about this. This standstill card to me is talking about maybe where you feel things are right now. And so what that actually means going forward. So a feeling like you're stuck, like things are murky or muddy, like the things you've been trying to honor have gotten you not very far. It's like you have listened to soul. You have listened to a need to be tender and honor. And I think this is Spirit coming through to say you are on the right track. Don't get frustrated even though it feels like nothing's happening. By doing that, by honoring, by listening to your soul and being more tender with yourself physically, don't get frustrated. so much more is happening than what it feels like. It feels like something's not moving at the pace it should, that things are stuck, and no matter how much you do what we've already talked about. And so the communication from Spirit is saying that despite how you feel and despite appearances, that stuckness and that murkiness is like floods have come in, which brings that murkiness, which brings that stuck feeling of like, how am I going to move through this? But what actually is happening underneath that is those floods have brought in new silts to replenish the soils. It's a process of the life cycle that takes place, and it's a very, very fertile place despite how it feels and despite appearances. And very soon, with patience and dedication to the work you're already doing, and Spirit saying, like, continue on this path, you're doing what you're supposed to, trust the process, because those flood waters will recede and you will be able to move through and out of these waters with a whole new fresh sense and connection to your physical vessel, having listened to this soul path and this tenderness towards your, honoring something of your physical self. Freshness is on its way, a rebirth, that appearance of like, whoa, the work I've done did make a difference. That path I've been on that felt so deep and connected and aligned, but then suddenly just felt like it was going nowhere, was going everywhere. And I am coming out of this, like, this is Spirit saying that if you stay the path and trust the process, you will come out feeling, still again honoring that we all have different bodies and challenges, but from wherever you are right now to continuing on the path of honoring and being tender with your physical vessel, compared to where you are now to what is coming by staying on the path, is just such this beyond freshness, this renewed trust in your soul to know what's right for you physically, and that giving you just like a new quality of energy, a new quality of trust and confidence in yourself and in your connection to soul, and heeding its guidance. And it's just beautiful. Okay, so we're going to look at some tarot cards to tease out any more context that Spirit wanted to bring through here. And what I'm feeling is that, again, to reflect this sense of freshness that is on its way if you stay the path, trust the process, is just like new sense of like a whole ecosystem coming to life, and things blossoming physically within you, and just like a much deeper, richer, vital, fertile, abundant feeling connected to your body compared to where it is now. And this ability to balance something really beautifully as well, like a new balance coming into place that's more just open and abundant and feeling fresh and alive. And this Three of Wands is coming through. What I'm feeling here is to have your eye on the prize. What's your intention? What's your vision? Where are you hoping this tenderness and honoring of your physical vessel, where are you hoping that is going? And to really get clear about that as you trust this path and continue on it. Spirit's saying, like, the more you can include some vision and intention here, not in a way that's like going to stress you out or take you out of this tenderness towards things. We still see a very tender quality with this silhouette here. It may be hard to see from a little far away, but it looks like she's sort of like hugging herself, you know. And you know, I think even further than just saying what's your intention, what's your vision here, I think it's saying you need to hold a vision of self-love ultimately for your physical vessel, no matter what that looks like for you. Again, just wanting to honor and be cognizant that we all have very different physical vessels, and some have tougher paths than others. But what kind of vision can you hold to have deeper self-love for your physical vessel? There's some sort of vision you need to cultivate around this. And yeah, I mean, the standstill and the Four of Cups to me feel very similar, and it's also a clue to me that you're very close to coming out the other side of the standstill into this fluidity card, outer core. Is there is something you're deeply meditating on, and I think Spirit is saying that it is giving you space right now to really be still, be quiet, be meditative. And there is an element of cultivating, you know, positive, you know, really doing some mental work here, some mental health work in relation to how you think about, speak about, develop ideas about your physical vessel. I think there's some deep work in this muck right now that's going on, and like helping to sink into more tenderness and depth mentally about honoring your physical. And that is a very big piece and element to this kind of rebirth coming. It's not all physical. There is a mental connection here that is going to be reflected and incorporated and have a deep impact and effect on your physical health. And it's like cultivating better self-speak, better ideas of your physicality, more positive thinking here. And then another thing coming through here, I think that there's also, in terms of that mental realm as related to the physical honoring and tenderness that is trying to be cultivated here, is that I think Spirit is also trying to bring you the right kind of messages and information you need to really change that mental wiring and thinking, and more positivity around body. It's bringing you messages. And so like watch for synchronicities, watch for those little things, like, you know, maybe you'll be scrolling through some kind of social media like Instagram, and I actually just had this today, so I'll just share my example. As there's a company called Mind Body Green, and I follow them on Instagram, but I've never like really invested, and I've definitely never listened to the podcast. But they had a post today about a podcast episode, and it just sort of like, I don't know, resonated with me. And I'm like, you know, I'm going to listen to that. And it really flooded me with a lot of beautiful new insight about questions I was specifically holding. And so it's like, it, you know, helped me to reorient some ways of how I was thinking specifically about some physical health and how I'm honoring it, and confirmed for me a lot of things I was doing, but also elaborated. So it's like, I mean, I think this is a very poignant example that literally just happened today. That, yeah, like really pay attention to any information coming your way that like really resonates. Pay attention and move towards it. because I think that spirit helping to reorient and give you different perspectives to help, broaden and elaborate and make any kind of flips in orientation that you need around this mental connection to how you're honoring your physical vessel and understandings you might need in order to do that really beautifully and tenderly. And then I love the Justice card coming out at the very end here. This is saying that that balance is coming and the payoff is coming, and the karma for all of the beautiful, beautiful energy and work that you've done is coming. Trust it. And I love that the Justice in this deck is 11, and the 11 really feels like that new gateway, like a portal shift. And that's what it feels like she's walking out of the water, like walking out of a portal into a different way of feeling about body and being in body. And this is just confirmation here that this payoff is coming, and there will be like a dimension shift that you'll step through, and this like just deeper feeling of vitality and freshness and positivity about body and health and physicality coming through. Gorgeous reading. I loved this message for you guys. If this resonated, I always appreciate a thumbs up. Definitely helps me to know that you're liking what I'm doing, and also helps my algorithm. And I always enjoy reading little comments as well. And definitely subscribe if you're not yet. All right, see you guys. Hello, Pile 3. Welcome to your reading. If this is you guys, you picked the Obsidian. And the theme that Spirit wants to bring forward here is blame. And underneath it, it says, I accept responsibility for my well-being. So before I jump into this reading, I just want to preface a few things. That everything that's flooding through and into me about what Spirit seems to want to bring through could be applied to any single one of us, myself included. We all have certain fragments of ourselves that get a little lost and unsure about who we are. And when that happens, it makes it really difficult to have any accountability, and it makes it really easy to see everything else outside of you as responsible. And again, just saying, we all have aspects of ourselves that at some point in life this happens to. We all go through things that fragment little pieces of us, maybe even just chip a little piece off, and it's not unrepairable, or maybe this is something you've never fully grasped, and this is something that we all have the capacity to start to witness better and learn from. And we'll get to what I'm even talking about in just a minute. I just want to preface, because this is definitely coming through me as a little bit of a touchy topic, the way it's being framed, but where Spirit is trying to push this is potentially the most empowering and healing thing. And what I'm getting is like the word precipice. Like you're so close to getting this certain lesson about this certain, and I what I'm going to say doesn't apply to every aspect of you. It's like a certain, it'll be different for everyone that got drawn to this pile, a certain aspect of you at this moment, or maybe it's always been there, but either way, on the precipice of getting this, this fragment that's been sitting like on the line with something not really understanding itself. So kind of having to externalize everything about this aspect of self. That, yeah, there's something coming through about some accountability, some needing to develop a sense of self around something specific a little bit more in order to truly take on accountability, to really understand what accountability is and the difference between playing victim, not saying that we don't all have difficult things that happen to us that we didn't choose, but we can all also take on accountability for what we then do. And there can be some stuckness here if you don't quite understand how to do this with, you know, some little part of yourself, and then it's easy to then point fingers and blame and externalize the world instead of taking responsibility for your own decisions, actions, or how to move forward. And what Spirit is bringing here is that, looking at this butterfly, your animal card, it says emerging, take the leap of faith. I think you're so close. That's what, and I'm just looking at this card, motion air. I feel like that sensation of taking that leap is like rising up in you, and you're just like so close to doing that, to taking this leap and trusting in a little bit more of a stable sense of self in some area that's always been hard or is currently hard for you to take responsibility in. And you're just like right there. And to identify maybe what this could be about, we have this embracing card, and it's saying that there's either some emotions that are very stuck in you that need to be explored, or that there's a flooding of emotions that you need to just allow to be there and be present with, and not react to, just move through them, but allow them to move, allow that motion, allow your breath to help them be there and move. But there's something about moving emotions and moving accountability internally versus externally. Whatever this resonates with you about, there's something about the way forward is through you stabilizing something about who you are, what you want, and stopping externalizing either any finger pointing or needing some external force to save you, or to model yourself after and even copy in order to know what to do. There's a trust being asked of you right now by Spirit, that stable sense of who you are in this little fragment, where there is some either stuck or overwhelmed emotion, and where there is this difficulty in taking responsibility in something, to either be taking accountability for something or to move your life forward despite something that's happened in the way that you want it to. It's just asking that, like, either explore those emotions if they're stuck, or just let them, use your breath, use some emotions to let them flow, and let that flood then recede. Because under all of this, there is like a deep amount of new fertility that's trying to settle, that's trying to help you to understand your anchoring here, what you need to know about who you are here. And there's something coming through about if it's hard to really stabilize and grasp something really solid about your sense of self and something, is like take a look back at actions and decisions you make around this type of thing, and that will show you something about who you are in this little fragment. And it's so, everything is so close to making sense for you in a way that you can step into your power and stop externalizing something. And what will emerge is just such a confident version of this fragment that gets repaired or gets incorporated back into the greater whole of who you are. It's just like this, you know, I'm not talking about you as a whole. There's like this thing, this little fragment that is struggling right now and externalizing things right now and is feeling stuck or overwhelmed emotionally. And yeah, I know I'm repeating this a lot, but it's like Spirit keeps recycling something. It's like I haven't said the right thing quite or something, but I feel that need to move on now. So hopefully I've worded things correctly for enough, in multiple different ways, for enough of it to, you know, for enough of you to find that resonance you're needing to understand here. Okay, moving on to the tarot to add context here. There's 3 parts I'm seeing. This, the devil and the world, are both these Saturn Capricornian energies, and then the Empress is what I feel like you're desiring, and it's like sandwiched in between these really big, powerful energies. There's something that there's some, again, speaking about this little part of you, not the whole of you, there's this little part of you that's sort of like looking either too much externally to external sources of what you feel are desirable, successful, accomplished, credible, around areas of material comfort, material beauty, material creativity. And it's sort of like your own personal, unique connection to that energy of feeling fertile and feeling the beauty of the material realm is too compressed and oppressed by using so many external things to you to dictate what this is supposed to look or feel like, to the point that like you might even take on someone's qualities as your own, like borrow them, too deeply model yourself after certain things, start to wear the cloak of something or someone other than you too much, that like you've taken on an identity of somebody else, even to the point that it makes them uncomfortable as well as you uncomfortable. And this is asking you to step away from that kind of patterning, from modeling too much after external things. This is where your emotions are getting tripped up into either being too overwhelming or completely stuck. And it's like a haunted feeling. It's like a pattern that recycles, that gets haunted in whatever little aspect of yourself this relates to. And we all probably have aspects of self that would relate to this. And it's asking you to step into your own passion, that's fiercely independent, that's fiercely different. I feel like that's almost something that you need to feel into, of feeling your sense of beauty and abundance and fertility in a way that is vastly and courageously different than anything you've seen, anyone or anything you look up to, anything that you have urges to model yourself after or absorb the qualities of. What's completely different but still feels passionate. That's what you need to go toward. And this is where you emerge. This is where your stable sense of self in this little fragment finally finds its clarity, its confidence, its strength, its beauty, its vibrancy, and its emerging, and then can reattach if it got fragmented at one point to your greater whole, or finally attach if it never has felt attached there. So I hope this wasn't too harsh. I honestly think that any of us could get this lecture. We all have parts of us that get fragmented, and it can be really destabilizing and hard to recenter ourselves when that happens. And so I'm not trying to single anyone out, call anyone out, make anyone feel bad. We all have this capacity. But the reason you came to this reading is there is that one little fragment in you that is on a precipice right now to stabilizing into your clarity, confidence, fierce, passionate, individualized sense of self in that fragment. And it's reattaching or finally attaching to your greater sense of self, where there is stability of self already anchored in. Okay, that is, wow, that was intense. I felt a lot of charged energy. I felt that emotion from the embracing definitely there. And I, Spirit is coming through to say this is all said in loving, compassionate voice, and it's only being said because you're so close. And also getting a message here from this Obsidian that if that's something that calls to you, it's really something that can be beautiful and helping you to kind of deposit these external things, any externalization, any overly modeling, overly idolizing, overly externalizing things that have taken on kind of negative patterning and negative charge. Like this Obsidian can really help suck that in to help you go into that motion and that air and that breathing and that confidence and that individuation and emerging as your confident, stable self in whatever fragment this relates to you about. Okay, if this resonated, I always appreciate a thumbs up. Helps me to know that you're enjoying what I am doing, as well as helps my algorithm. And definitely subscribe if you are not yet, and I will see you in more readings. Welcome, Pile 4, to your reading, a message from Spirit. If this is you guys, you picked this unique clear crystal quartz. And we're just going to place this over here for the reading and dive in. So the card you picked is what is determining the theme of what Spirit has a message for you about. And this is self-esteem, and the message on the card says, I possess gifts of the soul that benefit me and others. which is such a beautiful message to hear in general, just that. But there's so much more to add on when looking at these oracle cards, and then we'll get to the tarot cards after. So what I'm feeling, what Spirit's wanting to, why Spirit's wanting to give you this message about self-esteem is in looking at the well and the card next to it, which is solitude. The well says tenderness, show compassion and forgive what needs to be forgiven. And so what I'm sensing here is that you do have some really beautiful, soulful gifts that can benefit humanity, but almost like you've been withholding them. To the point where then you've felt maybe some shame or guilt about that withholding, and now it's just become this pattern and you don't know quite how to let it out or how to move this. And what I'm getting here is the way to kind of free this and to move this out into the world, because I think the message at the root here is that you have some gifts that can benefit others. I think you know how they benefit yourself. I think you've benefited from that to a degree, even though there's, some weird withholding energy around that really being able to be of benefit to you. And what Spirit is saying, in order to move this, in order for these gifts to be able to move out and actually benefit others, which I think you want to do, you just don't know how to, it's this tenderness of forgiveness. And I think it's a lot about self-forgiveness. Self-forgiveness for sitting on whatever these gifts are, for kind of ferreting away with them to a desert island or a remote island where you kind of keep them safe and protected for whatever reason. And so forgiving yourself for kind of withholding these gifts and withholding the benefit that they can bring others. But then beyond that, there's a reason why that withholding, why that need for solitude with these gifts has been here, present. And what I'm sensing here is you're about to understand the reason for that need for solitude, for that need to keep these gifts sort of locked away. So not only is there deep tenderness and compassion for self-forgiveness starting to come in for you, but an understanding of where this need has arisen from. And so forgiveness toward whatever made you feel like you needed to lock these gifts away or protect them somewhere totally private. Just an all-around forgiveness, because the winds of change are coming and the universe is saying no more. These gifts are needing to come out, these soul gifts, this ability you have, these gifts you have. Humanity is completely ready to benefit from them. The timing is right. The forgiveness is coming in. A certain strength is welling up within you, and the universe is bringing some winds of change to ensure this happens. So I feel like this message is like a preparation. This isn't anything you have to do. This change is coming. The universe is making it come. But will make it positive for you and exciting for you is that element of forgiveness all around, to yourself, to anything and anyone that helped cultivate this need for solitude with these gifts. But yeah, however well you're able to lean into that forgiveness, so being able to really feel the esteem and positivity associated to these gifts well up, that's sort of up to you. But the universe is bringing winds of change that are forcing these gifts out into the world. And we see that with judgment. The universe is, there's no stopping it. It's just going to happen. So it's saying, buck up, find your self-esteem for this, find your courage with this, find the beauty of this. Let forgiveness ooze out of you towards everything and everyone around anything associated with these gifts. And that self-esteem will anchor in a beautiful way. So looking at the tarot cards, we've got the moon, and to me this indicates that whatever made you feel this need for solitude around these gifts was probably complex and slippery and nebulous. And I think this solitude, one thing I would say that might help with any forgiveness, has helped to settle certain waters that needed to be settled. I think your gifts came from something complex, and that complexity needed time to settle in order for things to sink in and make sense, and that's now happened. And so it's just a process, even if that reasoning you have for kind of creating the walled off these gifts somehow, it's sort of like it was meant to happen, even if that came about through things that were complex and difficult. It's almost like they had to be complex and difficult in order for you to have gifts that were comprehensive and deeply, deeply rooted in compassion. And they needed time and space to organize in you. So it was all part of the process, and it's not like saying certain things were okay or not. It's just time to forgive and move on. And whatever these gifts are just settled and ready and in their perfect spot to come out. And judgment, I've already kind of gone over, connected to the winds of change. Judgment is coming in outside of your control and is really pushing these out into the world. What you're going to find here is, once this happens, is a new strength in voice, in values, in understanding of the material realm somehow, and an ability to really move this and create culture and community, or feel more a part of culture and community, and being able to move your value in beautiful ways. And I think that it's been a long process of maybe feeling some lack in this realm. And that solitude and that walling off, and what I've already talked about is like there was something complex and nebulous here in that space and time that was needed and has now settled. You're going to see that this was also part of the process to feel some sense of lack in order to go within and really understand your values, because something was rearranging and changing and bridging you to higher types of values. And when we go through big shifts and changes, it tends to destabilize those things in us, our values. And this time of solitude, this time of walling off things and withholding things, as strange as it seems, it was just needed for you to sit with this change, to sit with what was changing in you, what was bridging you to something higher, why, what, how, and wrap your mind and heart around the complexity of what this was, and ultimately the beauty of certain gifts it's solidified in you. And even though if you were to have let them out much earlier and never taken them into solitude, they would have benefited others and yourself, I do think this time in solitude really made things sink in a much more comprehended, understood, and mastered way. So all in all, Spirit is saying it's time to find any association you have with these gifts that have been kind of locked away. It's time to find forgiveness. This was all a process. It doesn't make certain things okay that maybe happen to push you into solitude or wall things off, but it was part of a process in order to establish and really, really comprehensively orchestrate this gift in you. And so no matter how this has come about, the result has been these beautiful gifts that are now not just gifts, but very solid, very understood, very meaningful. And so forgiveness all around for anything associated to what this resonates about for you, these gifts, whatever this gift feels like it is to you, or gifts. Anything and everything you can forgive attached to this that needs forgiveness will just amplify everything in such a deep, beautiful, profound way that not only will just, it's up to you, I feel like, the magnitude of what that benefit is by how much you forgive. If you can only forgive a little, those benefits will be a little. If you can deeply, deeply, deeply forgive, those benefits to you and others will be astounding. So I feel like that's the ultimate message here, is to the degree you're able to forgive will be the degree that these gifts are going to benefit you and others. But they are being pushed out into the world, out of solitude and into the world, and that part is not up to you. Okay, so anyway, I feel like something just sort of possessed me and took over there. So that was weird. Anyway, that's where I'm going to leave this reading, because I feel like I suddenly snapped back into me. So I think Spirit's done there. I feel like I don't even remember what I said. So anyway, if this resonated, I always appreciate a thumbs up. It lets me know that you're enjoying these readings, or specifically this reading, and also helps my algorithm. And definitely little comments are fun to read. I would be interested in comments on this one. And for sure, subscribe if you're not yet. All right, I'll see you guys in more readings.